Good evening, everyone. It's absolutely fantastic to be with you all here today. Anita, Toke, thank you so much for the invitation. You are absolutely incredible people, and I'm so blessed to have you as my friends. Taking all of these planes was nothing compared to the adventures and the projects and the changes we will make in the world in the future. So thank you. I was asked to talk about Nigeria 65 and my perspective as an outsider. And I like to focus on the word outsider. I'm not Nigerian, I'm from Luxembourg. And I see a lot in the news, I know a lot from Anita, but there's always that underlying unknown. And so please take my keynote with a pinch of salt. Distinguished guests, proud Nigerians, fellow global citizens, thank you for inviting me, a Luxembourgish businesswoman, to share in this significant moment as you mark 65 years of Nigerian independence. I stand before you not as someone who knows all your stories, I really do not. Not as someone who has lived your struggles, but as someone who has watched with deep respect and growing conviction that the world has gotten your story wrong. Let me be clear from the start. As I said, I do not know all your stories, and definitely I've not navigated your 250 ethnic groups, your languages, your rich histories that exist long before colonial borders tried to contain them. What I do know is business, I know media, I know diplomacy. And from those vantage points, I have seen something that troubles me deeply. The gap between who you are and how you are betrayed. In my research for today, I came across words written by your literary giant, Chinua Achebe, in 1983. The trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a failure of leadership. There's nothing basically wrong with the Nigerian land or climate or water or air or anything else. You have a beautiful, beautiful country. What struck me about these words was not that they were critical, but that they were spoken with such profound love. Only someone who believes deeply in a nation, the nation's potential, speaks this way. Almost like a parent to their child. Achebe refused to let Nigeria off the hook because he knew what she was capable of. As an outsider looking in, I see the truth in this observation. Your challenges have never been about capacity. They have been about quality of stewardship, about systems, about the courage to demand better from those who lead. When I look at Nigeria in 2025, here's what I see. I see 220 million people who create opportunity where others see only obstacles. I see Afrobeats dominating global charts, and I love it. Your artists are not just making music, they are exporting culture, shifting perceptions, claiming space that was never freely given. I see Nollywood, the second largest film industry in the world by volume. Do you understand what that means? You are telling your own story, in your own words, on your own terms. That, my friends, is power. I see tech innovations in Lagos, in places like Yaba, where fintech companies are solving payment challenges across the continent, where startups are attracting millions in venture capital. This rivals anything I have seen in Berlin and Amsterdam. I invest in companies all around the world. I see fashion designers whose work grace international runways. And I was wearing tonight Tolu Bali, which I absolutely loved. Absolutely amazing to work with her as well. The love, the drive, just her vision to portray Nigerian excellence to the world. It was an honor to wear her and everything she represents. I see entrepreneurs building solutions for African problems with African ingenuity. But there's something that frustrates me. The world is not seeing what I see. And that is not an accident. In my years working in media at Voice Media, as director for EMEA, in RTL, the oldest news, TV, and journalism channel in the world, and my work across boardrooms in Europe and Asia, I have encountered the gatekeepers. They sit in editorial meetings in London, New York, and Paris. They control investment committees. They shape policy in Brussels and Washington. And many of them have a vested interest in keeping the narrative about Nigeria and Africa broadly frozen in a single story: chaos, corruption, incapacity. Why? Because the narrative serves their interests. When Nigeria is portrayed only through crisis, it justifies extractive business practices, it justifies unfair trade terms, it keeps you positioned as recipients rather than partners, as problems rather than competitors. When your innovations are ignored, when your successes are treated as anomalies, when you're potentially systematically underestimated, that protects market share for those who fear what happens when you fully awaken to your power. I have sat in rooms where investment decisions about African ventures were made not on merit, but on outdated perceptions. I have watched media outlets choosing which African stories to tell based on what confirms existing biases rather than what challenges them. So, this is not a conspiracy. This is business as usual, and it needs to be disrupted. But I must also speak honestly about what I observe, with humility, knowing I see only from the outside. I have 4 little points. Leadership. Akebe's words from 1983 still echo today. The opportunity remains for leadership to become more synonymous with service, with long-term vision, with building institutions that outlast individual terms. I have also read about leaders who embody this model. Alex Ibru, as described by those who knew him, was a man who protected him to, Alex Ibru, as described by those who knew him, was a man who protected him to achieve the objective he had to set out to achieve. His dedication to charity was worthy of emulation, and he believed in justice and fairness. This is the kind of leadership rooted in protection of purpose, committed to others, an unwavering principle that transforms nations. Number 2, you have over 250 ethnic groups. That is mental, amazing. This should be your superpower. In Luxembourg, we have 3 official languages in a country smaller than many of your states, and we have made multilingualism an economic advantage. Your diversity could be the same, but only if you refuse to let it be weaponized against you. 3, infrastructure. You cannot build a 21st century economy on infrastructures that do not support it. We have heard panels today of people with amazing companies who are doing incredible things, Let's support them. Let's support each other. Let's support the local economy with entrepreneurs who are making Nigeria the Nigeria of tomorrow. Brain drain. When I met young Nigerians in London, Zurich, New York, and Anita knows that, brilliant minds, extraordinary talent, I always ask, why would you go back if the conditions were right? Always the answer is yes. That tells me that the problem is solvable. Last, it's kind of like the elephant in the room, and I wasn't sure if I should mention it, but Anita was like, Tessie, you must, because it's part of everything as well. It's part of everyone's story. We don't just have it here, we have it all over the world. We have it in Europe, we see it in France, we see it in Germany, we see it in the UK. Corruption. This is perhaps the hardest to discuss as an outsider, but I must. It's just corruption is not uniquely Nigerian, as I mentioned, and therefore, but its impact is magnified when resources are scarce. It erodes trust, discourages investment, and punishes merit. Let's all work towards being better within that. So why am I here? When I spoke to Anita today, she said to me, you know, there's one question I want the speakers to answer. Why are you here? So I thought I added this. Well, as a Luxembourgish businesswoman, why do you care about the 65th anniversary of Nigeria? It's true. It's not really on the agenda of many people, but because I have learned that this is my journey from the military to diplomacy, to media, to business, and whatever I have done. Transformation happens when people stop accepting what diminishes them. I've seen it in my own country. Tiny Luxembourg became a financial powerhouse, not by accepting limitations, but by building systems that work. I have seen it in my humanitarian work. Communities transform when they take ownership of their own narratives and futures. And I see that same refusal to accept limitations in every Nigerian I meet. You do not need outsiders to save you. You need outsiders to get out of your way. And sometimes to call out the system that holds you back. There is wisdom in what Lady Maiden Ebro once said. Keep things simple. Elegance comes with simplicity. I love her. This amplifies not just to style, but to leadership, to governance, to the clarity of purpose a nation needs. When systems become too complex, too opaque, too burdened by bureaucracy and self-interest, they fail the people they are meant to serve. Simplicity in vision, in execution, in accountability is revolutionary. To the Nigerians in this room, if I may, I do not know you. You are the inheritors of extraordinary potential. You are the architects of what comes next. Build it with the integrity your nation deserves. Build it with the innovation you have already proven you possess. Build it with the unshakable belief that you belong at every table. Do not wait for permission from gatekeepers who benefit from your exclusion. Build your own table. Do not wait to your leaders. History is watching. Your legacy will be measured not by what you have accumulated, but by what you build for those who come after you. As a mother of 4, I do deeply resonate with that. To my fellow outsiders, investors here in the room, policymakers, media professionals, Nigeria is not a charity case. She is a partner, a competitor, a force. Engage with respect or step aside, because this giant is awakening. So as a closing, I do not know all your stories, but I know enough to know this. Nigeria at 65 is not a conclusion, it's a prologue. The best chapters are yet to be written, and while I may be an outsider, I'm honored to witness this moment and to stand in partnership as you write them. The trouble with Nigeria was never Nigeria. It was always about the gap between potential and performance. And that gap closes not through wishes, but through work and actions. Not through rhetoric, but through results. Not through blame, but through building. You have the talent. You have the tenacity. Now demand the leadership and system that match your potential. Thank you.